Okay, good morning. Good to see everybody. Just to start off with injury updates, Tevin Jenkins is still in concussion protocol. He will be out there moving around today as a part of that protocol, and but still not cleared yet, and we'll see where that goes from there. Cole Kmet also will not practice today because of the knee, continuing to get treatment, and he'll get treatment throughout the day, and then into tomorrow, and we'll see where that goes. Again, no further update from there. And then also Mooney. Mooney came in on Monday after the game, self-reported having concussion-like symptoms, and he's in concussion protocol now. So that's where it is. And again, that many times that happens where a guy comes in, doesn't feel right, they test him, and he's in the protocol. So with that, and then Lucas Patrick will also be out of practice today, but he will be doing the walkthroughs, be engaged in the meetings, and we'll be out there with the group. So that's the injuries update right there. And then on a positive note, lastly is St. Brown and Sewell will be back out at practice today. In terms of practice this week, we're going to do similar to last week, where we did the Wednesday half and half practice, where the fundamentals and for the 14 minutes, 16 minutes of individual. We'll be there for the fundamental improvement of each position, and then we'll do a short 7-on-7, and then we'll segue into a walkthrough practice after that, first and second down, and we'll continue to do that tomorrow as well. Tomorrow will be the same type of style there, and again, just meeting with the performance staff and everybody, with the numbers and looking at the explosiveness and the distances and the high speed yards that we ran. We want to be fresh for the game on Sunday, and that's a big part of it, getting the guys' legs, but also getting the mental work and for the scheme as we go through it this week. Looking forward to Atlanta. Obviously, a very strong opponent. They've won the last 3 out of 5. They're in their division hunt for that. Obviously, got a very strong roster, and on both sides of the ball. And on defense, obviously they're in the top 5, top 10 in a lot of categories on defense. And Bates, their free safety, has 6 interceptions now, and obviously a very strong player there. They're strong at every level. Corner outside number 24 does a really good job. Linebackers are very active. D-line's very active. Obviously, you can see that in their run stopping numbers, how they approach the game that way. Then on offense, obviously very explosive at running the ball. Obviously one of the tops in the league with explosive runs, and the ability for those guys to do a good job doing that. Outside zone team, and they've done that really well. Arthur's done that really well for a long time, and obviously their addition of their halfback, the guy from Texas, Bijan. Obviously he's got, I think it's 14 runs over 10 plus yards, and he's done a remarkable job as a rookie. And they got the 1-2 punch back there in the backfield. Actually 3 guys with CP being back there as well. Very big and talented at the receiver level. London's done a nice job with 61 catches. And they really have 4 main targets. They got different targets, but 4 of them that really are targeted. Most are around 50 catches, with London being one of them, Pitts being the other one, and then Janu bringing him over from Tennessee. He's also got a lot of targets there as well and a lot of catches. So those guys are very talented at what they do. If you saw the game, they had their highest point total last week at 29 versus the Colts, and had a really good game versus those guys. So also very strong at the special teams level. Their cover teams are very strong, as well as their specialists. So we got a big challenge ahead of us. The guys are aware of that. We talked about it in the team meeting today, and we got to be locked into these walkthroughs and our fundamental improvement going forward into this week versus Atlanta. With that, I'll open up to questions.
Sorry, I may have missed this, but what does Patrick have?
What's that?
You said
knee.
He has a knee.
Yes, sir.
And with DJ, is he going to practice today?
DJ's good.
How about Deontay Foreman? Is he back with the team?
Yes, he is. Yep, he's back with the team, and everything's squared away.
Now, when you are able to kind of evaluate a bigger sample size for Justin this season, what have defenses done differently, most differently, I guess, this year than as opposed to last year?
Not much different. I wouldn't say much different. Last year they did a lot of things where they would pressure with 5 and all those things, and try to keep them well rushes, what we call, keep the guy, keep that mobile quarterback in the well. With 4 or 5, they've done that. and the coverage has varied based on the opponent. So we don't see that much of a difference. You know, as opposed to all the, I'm looking at the whole encompassing, picture. So that's where it is.
You mentioned yesterday that decisions about Justin's future have not been decided yet, like things are still up in the air. What are you hoping to see from him over these last 2 games to kind of help make that picture clearer?
Yeah, and really, what I should have added to that comment is everybody, right? We're all looking to evaluate, these last 2 games for our entire football team. It's not just Justin. It's the offensive line, the receivers, the defensive line, linebackers, secondary, everybody, right? So we're always looking to, have our eyes forward and get better every single year. But with him, it's just about being consistent. About really the good things he has done. What has he done over the last 5 or 6 games? Well, his sack total has been cut in half. That's been really good. Interceptions are down. He has 1. If you take out the 2 end to half in the game interceptions that he had in Cleveland, so that's really good too. And then him being able to, evade the rush and look down the field to create some momentum plays going forward, and his rhythm and timing is improving too. So those are the tangible numbers we can look at, and just more consistency that way.
Matt, it felt like last year's the Atlanta game. It felt like a tipping point, at least with Justin, in terms of the runs and utilizing that asset of his in the offense. How difficult is that to find the balance from someone who's such a dynamic rusher, but also not putting them in position too often to make themselves susceptible to hits, and finding that balance for him as a passer too?
Yeah, Courtney, that's a really good question, and I think Justin has done that. If you look at the hits he's taken, as of late, he's done a really good job on the scrambles and the QB runs. For example, the 1 3rd down that he almost scored on the one sweep that he had, did a really good job of working from the hash to the numbers to the boundary, and also working himself out of bounds and not getting hit there and not taking the undue hits that he doesn't need to take. So he's continuing to work on that, and but the balance has to be there, right? You have to have that, because you don't want to put your quarterback in harm's way, and part of that responsibility is on him too.
At times earlier in his career, it seemed like Justin was maybe an awkward slider. This is maybe a strange question, but do you think his sliding has improved as he's gone on? Because on one of those sweeps, it seemed like he did just slide really naturally to avoid it.
Yeah, I think it depends on how many yards he gets. When he gets a lot of yards, he slides with some swagger, and then pops up and does the first down signal. But yeah, I think he has improved on that.
With Robbins, he broke a ton of tackles last week. What is the emphasis? I know you emphasize it every week, but what's the focus on him this week in terms of getting down?
Yeah, when you face a guy like this that's dynamic, in a lot of ways, they use him in a lot of different ways. He'll play receiver, he'll play obviously in the backfield. They'll have 2 halfbacks in there at the same time. So multiple personnel groups that they use. They utilize their tight ends a bunch because they really like those group, which I would too. But in terms of him, just the contact balance. He's a lean player. He's got a lot of lean mass, so he's got great contact balance, and he's got great acceleration. And he uses his off arm really well. In terms of the stiff arms and those types of things. So, it's going to be a big challenge for all of our guys. It's really about population. It's about getting population to the ball, setting edges on the perimeter, and taking good pursuit angles inside out. If you're at the first level or the second level. So that's going to be a big part of it. And it's going to be a team, a team defensive, we got to work together, in team defense against that guy for sure.
Matt, Justin is obviously very aware about the ongoing outside conversations about his future. Have you guys talked to him about that at all, about his future, about the conversations that are going on about that?
Yeah, I talked to him in a general sense and just in terms of the position, of being an NFL quarterback. And you're always going to get that, so you got to keep your eyes forward and your feet where they are. And that's the most important thing you can do. You got to focus on the here and now and today and improving every single day. When you do that, you're going to get better and you're going to improve and you're going to be able to stay locked in on your job. And he does that at a great rate. He does it every single week. And I commend him for that. You got to be strong to do that. Certainly during times of adversity, and he stands on solid ground. He stands on his work ethic and the man that he is, and that's how he does that. He keeps his eyes forward and his feet where they are supposed to be. So
Matt, Kyler's been playing really good football for 2 months now. Kyler Gordon.
Yeah.
What's really struck you about his development this year?
Well, just taking the next step. We always see the biggest jump, from rookies. When we play them a lot in that first year, you can see a huge jump because of the experience the first year into the second year. And it happens sometimes right away in the second year, and sometimes it just takes a little bit. Obviously he dealt with the injury early on. He came back from that, and he was pretty strong since that point. And we've seen him jump just like we have a lot of other second-year players.
Matt, as much as we can tell about offensive linemen, Tevin Jenkins has been outstanding when he's been in there, but of course has not always been in there. I know this is probably more of a question for Ryan, but from your viewpoint as the head coach, how do you judge long-term just how dependable he will be, as good as he is, looking forward? How much can you count on him, and how big of a decision is that, especially at his stage of his career, contract-wise and everything?
Yeah, we love where Tevin has developed too, and Chris Morgan has done an unbelievable job with Luke Steckel developing him, and really it's a tribute, mostly to Tevin. Tevin's done a great job of maturing in that way, being there all the way through training camp, working through, minor injuries, and obviously he got hurt, when we were in Indianapolis, doing a drill, so that just was a freak deal, and you got to look at those injuries as, hey, are they consistent, or are they, just kind of a freak type of deal? And that's kind of what we feel with him. And, he's done a really good job of being consistent, being in the building, being a pro, and he has been dominant when he's been in there. And the numbers say that, and how we've graded him says that. And he's just working to improve every single week. And, moving him into guard was just a really good move, for him. He just feels so comfortable that in there.
But how does the unpredictability of his, dependability, how does that complicate matters for you long-term, looking ahead,
Yeah, I mean, that's always a factor, it's always a factor, when you look at, in terms of players, you gotta make sure that the durability's there, because that equals dependability. And that's always a factor when you look at players. You look at age, you look at, dependability, you look at, how he affects the team in terms of the chemistry, in terms of the team, then you look at production. And then production's obviously been there too. So he's checked all those boxes. Again, all those things will be looked at. All right.
Thanks, man.